Michael Turner was a 24-year-old college student in Chicago who knew the meaning of struggle better than most. His days were consumed with lectures, assignments, and endless hours of work at a local diner, just to keep up with rent and his ever-mounting student loans. Despite his exhaustion, Michael carried himself with quiet dignity. He often wore the same faded jeans and an old jacket to class, earning whispers and mocking smiles from wealthier classmates who couldn't imagine his battles. But Michael's heart was strong. He dreamed of graduating, finding a stable career, and maybe one day giving his future family a life free of hardship. One evening, while working a late shift at the diner, his life took a turn he never expected. That night, the soft sound of heels clicked against the floor as a woman entered. Her presence immediately caught the attention of the entire room. Eleanor Brooks was unlike anyone Michael had ever served before. At 71, she carried herself with grace, dressed in an elegant coat and pearls that reflected her refined taste. Her silver hair was neatly styled, and her eyes carried both authority and warmth. Everyone seemed to notice her wealth and power, but Michael noticed something else, loneliness hidden behind her poised smile. Michael served her with his usual kindness, making sure she had everything she needed without hovering or showing fake courtesy. Eleanor, who was used to people treating her differently because of her money, found his sincerity refreshing. Over the next few weeks, she began visiting the diner more often. At first, their conversations were small, books, art, the weather, but soon they grew deeper. She learned about Michael's financial struggles, his relentless determination, and his hope of building a better life. He learned about her world of art galleries, her achievements, and the emptiness of living in a mansion with no one to truly share her heart with. It was during one of these conversations that Eleanor did something no one could have predicted. She proposed marriage. Michael was stunned, nearly dropping the coffee pot he held. The idea of marrying someone nearly 3 times his age seemed impossible, and he worried about what people would say. Would they assume he wanted her money? Would they laugh behind his back? But Eleanor made her intentions clear. She wasn't offering him riches. She wanted companionship, trust, and someone genuine who could see her beyond her millions. After many sleepless nights and long walks across the Chicago streets, Michael made his decision. He wasn't saying yes because of her wealth. He was saying yes because she had shown him kindness, respect, and belief when few others had. Their quiet wedding shocked the community. Friends, neighbors, and even Eleanor's relatives whispered that it wouldn't last. Yet Michael stood by her side, determined to prove his choice came from the heart. But as Michael moved into Eleanor's grand home filled with chandeliers, priceless paintings, and marble floors, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was hidden beneath all that wealth. And 7 days later, what he discovered left him completely speechless. 7 days after the wedding, Michael was still adjusting to life inside Eleanor's sprawling Chicago mansion. The marble floors echoed with his footsteps. The chandeliers glittered above him, and the endless rooms felt more like a museum than a home. Yet in the quiet corners of the house, Michael sensed a heaviness, a story waiting to be told. On the 7th evening, while Eleanor was resting, Michael wandered through the west wing of the mansion. He noticed a heavy oak door he had never seen open before. Out of curiosity, he gently pushed it, and to his surprise, it creaked open. Inside was not another lavish room, but a study, its walls lined with shelves of leather-bound journals, photographs, and old newspaper clippings. Unlike the rest of the mansion, this room felt deeply personal. Eleanor appeared behind him, and instead of being upset, she gave him a faint smile. "I suppose it's time you knew," she said softly. She walked over to one of the shelves and pulled out an old photograph of herself as a young woman, dressed in a waitress uniform, standing outside a small cafe in rural Texas. Michael listened intently as Eleanor shared the story of her past. She hadn't always been a millionaire. In fact, she had grown up in poverty just like him. Her father had died when she was young, and she worked double shifts to help her mother pay rent. For years, she faced ridicule and rejection, told she would never succeed in a world dominated by powerful men. But Eleanor fought back. She saved every penny, taught herself business skills, and eventually opened her first art gallery. Slowly, through grit and determination, she built an empire. Michael was stunned. He had only seen her wealth and elegance, but behind it all was a woman who had once walked the very same road of struggle that he was walking now. What shocked him most wasn't her money. It was her strength, her will to survive, and the scars she carried that no one else could see. Then Eleanor revealed the truth about why she married him. Doctors had recently diagnosed her with a heart condition, and though she had everything money could buy, she had no one she could trust to share her final years with. "I didn't want someone to love my wealth," she whispered. "I wanted someone to see me." Michael's eyes filled with tears. All his doubts vanished in that moment. He realized he hadn't just married a millionaire. He had married a fighter, a woman whose life story mirrored his own struggles. From that day forward, he promised himself he would stand by her side, not for her fortune, but for her heart. As days turned into weeks, Michael began helping Eleanor with her art galleries, while she encouraged him to finish his studies. Their marriage, once mocked by outsiders, blossomed into a partnership built on respect, resilience, and shared dreams. Michael's shock on that seventh day turned into admiration. He had found not only a wife, but also a mentor, a friend, and the greatest lesson of his life: that true wealth isn't measured in money, but in love, sacrifice, and the courage to keep going.